But of course, who knows what the dungeon has in store, so without further ado, let's just get ready to hop into it. It would help if I had the right screen selected. There we go. Or anti-op. So, where do we want to start today? Hey, halt, catch fire. Ignis getting another shot indeed. Hopefully we can get a little bit further along the run this time around. But last week, when we were just starting out, we were kind of torn between Gargoyle and Formicid, chose the latter in the end, so potentially I'm going to head back up to Gargoyle here today. I'm still not super convinced that it's the best move for an Ignis character, just because Gargoyles are really strong kind of early to mid game, then can fall off. I guess we have some amount of resistance to Torment. The low health pool, though, is where it gets rough. You know, you're hoping that the majority of characters, even non-Gargoyles, will have poison resistance, electricity resistance, things like this by the time you get to late game, which, of course, Gargoyles are guaranteed to have since they got it from the start, but unfortunately, I think some of the negatives start to outweigh. But we will see whether that bears out in any meaningful capacity here. I think I will start out with an axe as normal. And let's just go with Gargoyle the Gargoyle. Why the heck not? And we'll see if we can't make this work. So, do we want to train axes? I guess for the time being we will. We don't know for sure if we'll be getting more spellbooks that we could make use of in the near future, so we'll kind of be playing it by ear for the moment here, keeping all these skills relatively low to start off here. And we shall see, I guess, where that ends up taking us. Last but not least, we'll of course grab the seed for our dungeon here, just in case any of you lovely folks are playing along at home. And with that, let us get the ball rolling here, shall we? So we'll have Scorch at level 2. Until then, we're hoping the axe will be enough, and I mean, I was about to say it should be, and then a single Quokka started giving us some trouble, so maybe not the best advertisement for us here. I'm gonna switch to the plate armor, again, just for at least the very short term here. Going up to 12 AC on D1 isn't exactly something to snub here, so that should be good enough to keep us alive at the moment. I mean, Scorch and Heavy Plate, almost no shot, but we'll at the very least learn it, and we can kind of experiment and fool around, see where we land in the next little while here, if that becomes a bit of an option to switch into some lighter armor and use some good old spellcasting. But not too bad of a start here. You know, with that plan in mind, gonna pick up the ring mail to see if that doesn't give us an option here. Unfortunately, first spellbook, we retrieve not exactly anything that I'm too happy with. Holy moly, that Quokka again headed out for us. There's something about these Quokkai, what have you. And Jessica, we are able to take care of. Perfect. And I guess this becomes our first point of interest here. We can either go into strength and kind of fall fully into the melee build here, or at least relying on melee attacks decently often, maybe with some supplementary magic down the road, or it's intelligence, and we aim to be a bit more on the spellcaster side. I think I might go intelligence, and we'll kind of see how the chips land over the next little while. Whether we live to regret that, or that being the case, more likely we don't live and we regret that. But only time will tell. I definitely would like to grab some boots though, if you don't mind. Thank you. And looking stylish already as we get, oof. I mean, does fit the utility that we were just talking about. We got slow, confusing touch. but definitely not exactly what I was hoping for. Having chosen to dump our attributes into intelligence, I'm definitely on the lookout for some real conjuration spells, or at least some kind of damaging spell would give us some kind of impetus to make the swap over. Holy moly, that is quite the ring. Flying, resist poison, 2 fire resistances, and resist corrosion, plus a bit of strength. I guess resist poison, not as amazing on a Gargoyle character now that I've given it a second of thought, but still pretty cool. Flight will be useful short term until our wings grow large enough to actually support that naturally. So still pretty fantastic overall. Ooh, and we have magical cloak. Oh me, oh my. Game is taunting us with early poison resistance on a Gargoyle. It's almost good because first glance at the ring, I thought, now this is the type of karmic balance where you immediately lose a run. After you find an artifact that's kind of just what you were looking for in your dream, that's when everything goes to hell in a handbasket. But in this case, wasn't quite as amazing as I initially thought, which again means that maybe we've circumvented the karmic balance of it all, and maybe, just maybe, there's a chance for a good old Gargoyle here. Hello, Natasha. I would like to leave you alone, my friend. Holy crap, you might kill me. Well, maybe I shouldn't have said anything. So we do instantly find ourselves on the verge of death and despair here. Shouldn't have ran away. I probably should have just killed Natasha once to start off, but I was hoping, I don't know, something would happen. Really makes no sense when I actually try to put it into words, but at the very least, we have good defenses, so I'm hoping that we can take care of our feline friend. Holy moly. And then I'm actually going to head down this a ways. And do we just leave? It's only D3. So, you know, there's not that much of a danger upgrade from D3 to D4. So not a huge risk if we decide to ditch here. This time around we have some imps blocking Natasha from us. So I am just going to walk away. And I guess that made our decision for us. A bit more straightforward, at the very least. And not too bad. We are finding ourselves now in that weird midpoint where we're not investing a lot of resources into our melee fighting, so we're not that amazing on that side of things. We're still in heavy armor, so it's not like we can cast spells. Kind of getting the worst of both worlds. So let's try switching out our armor, and that does bring Scorch onto the table here. 10% failure, not great, but it's something. So let's try that out. Ooh, Ozokubu's armor and Manifold Assault, both being pretty solid utility spells for a more melee-centric character. I mean, Manifold Assault, I still am working out some of the details. It went from being one of my favorite spells in the entire game to feeling a little bit lackluster in recent memory. So we'll have to see if that continues to bear out. Oh, there are 2 Orc Priests. That's going to be a Foxfire Swarm from me then, my friends. Definitely need to take care of those priests as quickly as possible. Probably should have just ran away when we saw the first one, but you know, it's still early days in the stream. Brain's not firing on all cylinders quite yet. He says optimistically, as if at any point this evening it will be firing on all cylinders. Ooh, I will buy a scroll of blinking, if you don't mind. And then let's check this out. Book of Geomancy is pretty solid, so I will mark that down. A bit less so there. I guess Book of Battle we've already found, actually. And Blink is fairly useful. That's a cheap book, so I guess why the heck not? Let's try it out. That doesn't seem too bad. We did ID Blinking. Unfortunately, the one we picked up was the very first Blinking Scroll, the first of its name. So maybe not ideal there, but we do get a War Axe. It's going to be tempting to switch into that sooner rather than later. Oh my gosh, some rings for sale here. I'm going to mark the Ring of Willpower, protection from fire, between the ring we found and the 1 pip of fire resistance that Ignis grants us. We shouldn't have need for that at any stage during the run. But we shall see whether that does end up playing out in that direction. And there's our first use of Scorch as well. So starting to remember that I actually have options and can rely on that is going to be a pretty big thing moving forward here. In fact, against any kind of single enemies, let's just spam the ever-living crap out of our fire magic. And that is not too bad here at the moment. I think I scorched while our club-wielding friend was still out of range. I was hoping that we'd regain enough MP to be able to slam this buddy again, because we are at potential risk of death here. Never mind, there we go, getting back the magic at the option moment. I mean, don't get me wrong, I say never mind, but we were, by and large, still in near-death experience territory there. Oof. I guess fortunately we have fire resistance, so the Steam Dragon not actually too bad. Neither, now that I think about it, is the Bombardier Beetle? Something like that. AC remains unchanged, but our encumbrance goes down a whole lot, so I will grab that son of a gun. Interesting little dagger here. So if we do pivot fully into spellcasting, this is a decent stat stick. 3 pips of willpower. Pretty awesome. I mean, noise can be pretty bad, but if we're not swinging it, that's a non-issue. Additionally, if we're casting spells, chances are we're making a lot of noise anyway. So maybe not the be-all end-all. The resist corrosion and fire resistance still nice, but as we mentioned earlier, we of course are kind of looking solid on that front overall, thanks to Ignis. So not something we needed to worry about in the first place or take note of. Upon receiving this, protection from fire ring. Again, a little too late, my friend. We are pretty dang solid in that regard. I'm not seeing any orc priests, so we should be able to pretty safely entertain that encounter. Just because it's been a while since we played a Gargoyle character, it might be worth mentioning that of course Orc Priests are one of the main factors in ending a Gargoyle run early, just because of how low our HP pool is. It definitely leaves us in a bit of a tricky spot with anything that can kind of rain down damage from beyond our capabilities to smack back, as it were. Stop, drop, and roll to get rid of our fire there, and then a ring of positive energy I guess I might as well put on. Economical Temple, of course, not going to be something of interest for us here today, but that is just fine. How are we doing on that shopping list? Still can't really afford anything that we wanted. I mean, will I run up for the Book of Spatial Translocations? Blink would be nice to have, but is not strictly necessary. On the other hand, a Ring of Magical Power, when we only have 14 magic points, that additional 9 goes a pretty huge way. You know, it is, at the very least, a few more Scorches that we can throw out there. Heavy halberds. You're going to be hitting like a truck, my friend. Let's let you come around. So Maggie attempts to bespell us as best they can. Okay. Well, unfortunately, we did not do as much damage as I would have liked. It's not like you had fire resistance. I'm curious if we just low rolled or if I'm making some other silly mistake here. Does switching over to the dagger actually help us? Not so much. I probably should stop training axes at this point. We're attacking faster than once per turn, so I feel pretty safe about that. And what else can we do? We can switch over to Natropa Dart and take a look. 50% chance to hit, only 27% chance to blind you. Well, that did not go especially well. Foxfire Swarm doesn't really help us in this setup either, so could just Rising Flame, I guess. But before we do so, let's start IDing some things here, shall we? See if we can't get something that saves us. So we're just casually reading scrolls as somebody wails away as best they can. Break out of our daze. Goodbye, Maggie. Wish you the best, my friend. And we are mesmerized once again. We did manage to save up a few more magic points on the escape there. I probably should have chilled at a corner, as that's somewhere that Foxfire Swarm has a little more utility. I mean, generally you want to be in a very wide open space, which a wide open space this is not. I could blink away. We now have enough of a stretch opposite of Maggie to blink away if we so desired. Scroll of Fog also potentially breaks the mesmerization, but I'm tempted to fight this. As have been my famous last words many a time in the past. Oh, geez Louise. 14 health? I mean, could just die in the next hit here, but let us give it a shot, shall we? Another swing. Maggie's almost dead. Down to 7 health. Oh, it's so tempting. Keep pushing through. We're just so close to killing them. But let's play this intelligently, I guess. Silly old me. So we'll just pop away with the blink. I guess I could wait here and try something fancy, but let's not be too ridiculous now. Just head upstairs, wait for Maggie, who hasn't quite healed up. Oh gosh, I almost feel sorry for you, my friend. But of course we will, regardless, just take advantage of the situation, as it were. I will take your fancy armor as well, my friend. Slightly higher encumbrance, I guess, but that shouldn't affect our casting. And do we have anything else that we should be learning here? I guess we could bring in some summoning if we really wanted. Fugue of the Fallen works with a kind of hybrid build as well. Though again, we were kind of landed on the side of hopefully we can just go full mage at some point in the near future. So far as not borne out in any meaningful way, but never too late for the tides to turn here. And another shop. Holy moly. Spoiled for choice at the very least. Hello, my friends. Let's take you kiddos on a wee bit of a stroll. Probably was a little bit more reckless with that auto fight than I should have been, but let's not worry too much about that. This magical gold dragon scales is wild to see. I mean, nowhere near being able to afford it, and it's not even that great for us. Oh man, oh my. I'm definitely feeling the fatigue here today. Can't even talk, though that's a bit more usual than I care to admit when it comes to my streaming performances as of late. I'm also looking at this ring mail, cold resistance and positive energy. MP -9 is really rough, but I'll mark it. Keep it in mind as an option, or at least a potential option in our future. And there we go, hitting all of our skills. I'm gonna train a bit of ice magic, try to get Ozakubu's armor up and running, and then I'm looking at that shapeshifting. I'm debating if there's any credence to train on that side. We have gone a lot of forms already, very early on in our run here today. I still don't know how I feel overall about that as a prospect. And let's read this ID scroll. Probably should have started IDing some potions, but I was kind of just hoping against hope that we'd get something like an acquirement scroll that would just set a bit of a tone for the next little while here. You know, remove some of the pressures and choices from my end and let us fly by the seat of our pants. But regardless, all is fine for the time being here. Well, my priest friend, finally in a decent spot for you now. Holy moly. Well, let's try this again, shall we? We still haven't killed our wizard friend here, but this should take care of everyone. Thank you, Ignis. I guess so far this has been a pretty good representation of an Ignis run. 2 different encounters that we've been completely bailed out using one of the Ignis granted abilities. So that is wonderful in its own right. Hopefully we don't have too many more of those moving forward. It'd be nice to, you know, transition into a little bit more of a safe feeling, secure run. If you could be so kind, DCSS, but never know how things will shake out, I guess. But there we go. Get our train set up once again here. Just some spell casting for magic points. And while we still don't have a great idea as to what spells our future holds. And then, of course, armor. Just pretty useful across the board. Will let us wear something slightly heavier without affecting our spell casting rates too much. And we are getting to the point of that being able to afford the Book of Geomancy. Between that and a ring of magical power, how am I feeling? Magical power would be nice. Don't get me wrong. Oh my.